And police wouldn't say specifically what the relationship was between the alleged killer and his victim, but a family member tells us the girl who died was 6 months pregnant, her body found in a dumpster.
It was a cold December night in 2018 when the Rouhselang family's life changed forever. 17-year-old Breana Rouhselang told her mother, Melissa, that she needed to step out for a little while. It was around 10:30 p.m. when Melissa watched her daughter walk out of their Mishawaka, Indiana home. Brianna had her phone with her, and to Melissa, there was no reason to be alarmed. She thought her daughter would be back soon, but that was the last time she ever saw her alive. Hours passed. Melissa went to bed, expecting Brianna to return. But when she woke up around 1 a.m., she checked her daughter's room and froze. The bed was empty. The room was quiet. Brianna never made it home. Panic took over as Melissa searched the house, calling out her daughter's name, hoping she had slipped back in quietly. Nothing. The fear grew heavier as Melissa called Brianna's friends, desperate for answers, but no one had seen her. By early morning, the worst fears became real. Melissa reported Brianna missing. To detectives, it seemed like another teenage runaway. They assumed she might have gone to stay with friends or decided to cool off after an argument. But Melissa knew something was wrong. Brianna wasn't reckless. She was responsible, kind, and caring. And more importantly, Brianna was 6 months pregnant. That detail changed everything. A young girl carrying a baby vanishing in the middle of the night. It didn't add up. The police were now forced to see the case differently. This wasn't just a missing teenager. This was a girl in need of protection, possibly in danger. And the question that began haunting everyone in Mishawaka was simple yet terrifying. Where was Breana Rouhselang? Clues in the alley. As the hours ticked by, detectives began retracing Brianna's steps. The first lead came from her own mother. Melissa revealed something that made the police pause. Brianna had been pregnant, and she had gone out that night to meet her boyfriend, 16-year-old Aaron Trejo. The meeting place wasn't a park, a diner, or even a friend's house. Aaron had told her to meet him in the dark alley behind her own home. The detail raised red flags immediately. Why meet there, so late, in such a hidden spot? The police searched the alley in the early morning light, and what they found left them shaken. Just a few steps from Brianna's back door, investigators spotted her knit hat lying on the ground. Not far from it were her glasses, both stained with dark patches of red. Then, more chilling evidence appeared. Pools of blood spread across the pavement. The detectives didn't need much more to know they were no longer dealing with a simple runaway case. They were standing in the middle of a crime scene. The discovery confirmed Melissa's worst fears. Brianna hadn't simply left to clear her head or spend time with a friend. Something violent had happened to her that night, something brutal. And the fact that her personal belongings were left behind made it clear she hadn't left willingly. Police rushed to piece together what happened. Phone records showed that Aaron had indeed been the one to arrange the meeting. He claimed he waited in the alley, but Brianna never showed up. To investigators, his story already had cracks. If she never came, then why were her hat, glasses, and blood found exactly where he said he waited? The evidence painted a darker picture, one that suggested Brianna had arrived, but she never walked away. Now, detectives knew they were chasing not just a missing person case, but a possible murder. The boyfriend's secret. In the early hours of December 9th, detectives brought in 16-year-old Aaron Trejo for questioning. On the surface, Aaron seemed calm. He told them the same story he had told Melissa. He had asked Brianna to meet him behind her house, but she never showed. He said he waited, then got annoyed, and went home. To the untrained eye, it might have seemed believable. But detectives were already staring at blood, glasses, and a hat found exactly where Aaron claimed to be. His words and the evidence did not match. As the questioning continued, another secret surfaced. Brianna and Aaron's relationship had been hidden from nearly everyone. Their families didn't know they were together, and most of their classmates had no idea either. The secrecy didn't stop there. Detectives soon learned Brianna had been 6 months pregnant, and Aaron was the father. This revelation changed the tone of the investigation completely. Aaron's behavior and his answers began to look suspicious. Why had he chosen to meet Brianna in such a secluded place? Why so late at night? And why had he lied to Melissa about waiting there when the crime scene clearly showed Brianna had been attacked? Behind his quiet face, detectives suspected something much darker was brewing. Aaron was a high school football player, known for being disciplined, religious, and focused. But now, that image was crumbling. The reality was that this seemingly ordinary teenager was carrying a secret far heavier than anyone could imagine. A relationship, a pregnancy, and possibly a violent plan. Detectives left the interrogation room with a growing sense of dread. The puzzle pieces were falling into place, and every clue seemed to point in one direction. Aaron was no longer just a boyfriend. He was becoming the prime suspect in a shocking and brutal crime. A deadly plan by now, police were convinced Aaron Trejo knew far more than he admitted. The blood in the alley, Breana's missing phone, and his shaky story painted a chilling picture. When detectives pressed harder, Aaron's mask began to slip. What came next was disturbing. Aaron confessed that he had been planning Breana's death for nearly a week. The truth was simple and cold. Aaron didn't want to be a father. At just 16, the idea of raising a child filled him with fear and anger. Brianna had hidden her pregnancy for months, and when she finally told him, Aaron felt cornered. He wanted her to get rid of the baby, but at 6 months, it was too late. In his mind, the only way out was to erase both Brianna and the child she carried. On December 8th, Aaron texted Brianna, luring her out of her home under the cover of night. He brought a sharp knife and black plastic bags with him, already prepared for what he intended to do. When Brianna met him, the conversation quickly turned heated. She refused to give up her baby, telling him she was excited to become a mother. But Aaron saw only a burden. Consumed by rage, he attacked her. He stabbed Brianna multiple times, then used her own scarf to strangle her, ensuring she couldn't survive. Alone in the dark alley, a pregnant teenager lost her life at the hands of someone she trusted. Aaron then wrapped her body in plastic bags and dragged it to a nearby dumpster behind a restaurant. To him, it was disposal. To everyone else, it was unthinkable cruelty. The plan was as heartless as it was deliberate. Aaron didn't stumble into violence, he created it. And in doing so, he not only ended Brianna's life but also the life of her unborn daughter. Justice and grief. After Aaron's chilling confession, the case moved quickly. He admitted he had planned Brianna's murder because he didn't want the responsibility of fatherhood. His words were cold and without remorse. Detectives charged him as an adult with 2 counts of murder, one for Brianna and one for her unborn daughter, who would have been named Aurora. In court, Aaron first pleaded not guilty, but the evidence against him was overwhelming. Later, he changed his plea to guilty. On October 31, 2019, less than a year after Breana's death, Aaron Trejo was sentenced to 65 years in prison. 55 years for the murder of Brianna and 10 more for the life of her baby. By the time he is released, if he ever makes it out, he will be an old man. For the Rouhselang family, though, no sentence could erase the pain. Brianna's funeral was held on December 17, 2018, at New Life Baptist Church. The church was filled with family, classmates, and members of the Mishawaka community, all struggling to process the loss of a girl known for her kindness, her love of sports, and her dreams of becoming a mother. Instead of celebrating her college plans or the arrival of her daughter, her family was left mourning 2 lives taken in an instant. For her parents, Melissa and Nicole, the grief was unbearable. They still struggle to accept that Brianna is gone, often revisiting old photos and text messages just to feel close to her again. The tragedy left deep scars, not just on the family, but across the community. People who knew Brianna described her as a light, ambitious, caring, and full of joy. That light was stolen too soon. Justice may have been served in court. But for Brianna's loved ones, the heartbreak will last forever. The case of Breana Rouhselang is one of those tragedies that leaves a permanent scar, not only on her family, but on an entire community. A young life full of promise was stolen, and with it, the future of her unborn daughter. Stories like this remind us of how fragile life can be, and how quickly trust can turn into betrayal. If you found this story important and want to hear more true crime cases told with care and detail, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's free, and it helps us bring you more stories every week. Now I want to hear your thoughts. Do you believe Aaron's actions were driven purely by fear of responsibility? Or was there something even darker behind his decision? Share your perspective in the comments below. Your voice matters, and discussing these cases helps keep the memory of victims like Breana alive.